TIFU by accidentally telling a woman to call me. Firstly, the standard mobile formatting apology. For context, I work as a receptionist at a business that requires people to sign in on a book that is directly in front of my desk when they enter the building. Also, the doors to the elevator are on the other side of my desk behind me. This happened about 30 minutes ago. A woman came inside and was blissfully unaware that the alarm on her phone was going off in her purse. It was the standard iPhone alarm sound. That very piercingly annoying sound that gives you PTSD too. Waking up in the morning. This is important to know because I have developed a very strange habit of subconsciously making the universal call me sign with my hand and shaking it back and forth to the rhythm of the alarm, sort of mimicking how an old landline would vibrate in a cartoon. The alarm woman is taking a few minutes both to sign in and realize her alarm is going off. During this time, I got out of my seat to look at some papers behind me, but I instead completely zoned out thinking about random bees and was unknowingly accidentally staring at a different woman who was waiting for the elevator, and I was still doing this call me gesture. The next thing I know, alarm woman finally turns off her alarm. The elevator dings, and I snap back to reality and realize elevator lady had been staring back at me with a very confused and awkward look the whole time. As she boards the elevator, I proceeded to get embarrassed and slid away behind my desk to hide myself away. TIFU by being a wuss about toilet hygiene. It was near the end of work. I entered a male toilet cubicle and saw that the previous user didn't flush toilet bowl water was yellow and there was toilet paper. There was also pee on the seat. I used the cubicle anyway to pee. I flushed, but I didn't clean the toilet seat. I swear I usually do wipe the toilet seat when I get my own pee on it, but I got grossed out by someone else's pee and I guess I got lazy today. As I exited the cubicle, a colleague of mine, and we're in a small department, entered the washroom. Bit of context about the washroom. We have a pretty compact washroom with one cubicle, one urinal, and one sink right next to each other. Think Hong Kong cramped apartments. While I was washing my hands, he walked and looked into the cubicle I had used, muttered something, "Oh my god," I think, and decided to use the urinal instead. Outwardly, I acted like nothing was unusual and left. Now I fear he's going to think I'm a gross person. I should have toughed it out and wiped the seat with a fistful of toilet paper. After some reflection, even though I technically didn't, I should have done better on my part. It's really ruined my day or evening. I'm an intern with this good company in an industry I might work in, and it's only my 4th day of 7 months. I got damn lucky getting this internship, and now I can't help but think I may have ruined it. TIFU by convincing my friend to get a mullet. Obligatory. I'm on mobile disclaimer, so I apologize for formatting. Also, I'm not anti-mullet and think everyone should have the haircut they feel happiest with. Today, a college student 20F, was studying with some friends who for this story will call Walter 20M and Lisa 20F. I focus better listening to music, so I had noise canceling. This is important. I promise headphones in while Walter and Lisa were talking while working. I see Walter wave to get my attention, so I take out my headphones and ask what's up. He said he was considering getting a mullet, and what did I think about it? Walter and I are both very sarcastic people and are used to some degree of saying ridiculous stuff and messing with each other, so this seemed on par with something he'd joke about. And this was the moment I messed up. Thinking he was kidding, I say of course he should get a mullet. He would rock a mullet. He'd have the greatest mullet there ever was. I sold the mullet hard. He seemed to be at least pretending to take my answer seriously, but again, that would be on par with usual joking behavior. The whole time Lisa kept saying stuff like, "No, don't get a mullet, that's ridiculous looking," but I thought she was just playing along with him, as this is a silly, stupid debate that seemed normal for us. He thanked me for my opinion, and eventually we all went our separate ways. Later today I was with Lisa, and Walter approaches us with, you guessed it, a mullet. I was in shock. Nothing against mullets, but I can safely say I've never seen a person with one, and thought, damn, what a lovely hairstyle. He was turning his head, showing us the look, and asking our opinions. I said it looked great, but internally very confusing, realizing I had missed something. When he left, I asked Lisa what was happening and how he actually settled upon the haircut, because I thought he was kidding. Apparently, while I had headphones in, he said he had a hair appointment later that day and was seriously considering a mullet. When he asked my opinion, Lisa was trying to talk him out of it, and I, thinking it was a joke, completely disagreed with her and hyped up the haircut idea. Emboldened by additional support, Walter got the mullet. Would I have suggested it if I knew he was serious? No, definitely not. Was not his best look. Does he seem to like it? Yes, and that's all that matters. Cheat on me and brag to your friends. Enjoy deportation. I met this girl 22 at the time while I 30 at the time was working in a national park, and she was a housekeeper on a work visa. We instantly hit it off, and within a month we were in a relationship. We even had a solid long-distance arrangement, where we would visit each other on recreational visas in our respective off-seasons. I'd spend a few months in Romania or meet her at some vacation destination. Then she'd spend a few months in the States. This went on for about 2 years, and eventually the conversation came up with her family about possibly moving her to the States permanently. Romania never really recovered from the Ceausescu regime, and political or economic corruption makes life pretty unpleasant for a lot of people. Her marrying and moving to the US meant that her mom wouldn't have to worry about her daughter having a good life. I arranged for sponsorship and proposed to her. It seemed like my dreams were coming true. Then, about a month after she's all settled in, I get a message from her best friend back home. What followed were a year's worth of screenshots wherein she bragged about conning me into paying for her residency, while she cheated on me with 8 different men. In her friend's words, "You are a good man, and you don't deserve this." So, over the following 2 weeks, I reported her to ICE and Homeland Security for a conversation her brother and I had over a bottle. At one point he bragged about how he had done time in prison for smuggling weapons to Turkish terrorists, and how she had been his lookout on several occasions. As you might imagine, in the War on Terror days, this was not taken lightly. She was immediately arrested and deported, and put on a permanent no-entry terror watch list. Want to take advantage of me and cheat? Have fun never being able to come back to the States. No show to a corporate meeting? We'll see about that. I'm not sure if this belongs here at Prerevenge or in a different Reddit sub. Please let me know if it does. But here it is anyway. The cast note that none of these names are real. They're all pseudonyms to meet guidelines. Brooke, my sister. Angie, accounting girl. Mark, milquetoast boss. Victor, vice president of operations. This story is about my sister's first job after graduating from college with a bachelor's degree in business management back in the middle 70s. She was hired by that recording tape company, whose advertising tagline was, "Is it real, or is it?" Anyway, her job was the travel coordinator for both the sales and tech support teams out in the field to come to the corporate offices periodically for various types of meetings or training, depending on the field employee's specialty. Brooke's responsibilities included booking airline flights, hotels, rental cars, approving per diems, and other travel-related upfront arrangements. It didn't take her long to figure out that there were a lot of no-shows, particularly from the sales staff, who always seemed to have some valid excuse not to make it to the meeting, and often with last-minute cancellations. "I've just booked this golf game with my most important client this week, so can you reschedule me?" type of reasons. Seeing how these cancellations were costing the company big bucks, Brooke hatched a plan that created class rosters for each class, and would, just like a teacher, make notes as to who showed up and who didn't. After the class was over, she would calculate how much those who didn't show up had cost the company in terms of cancellation fees, missed flights, etc., and present them to Mark. His reaction, typical of a middle manager protecting his little fiefdom, would take her report, tell her "I'll look into it," throw it into his inbox, and then promptly forget about it. My sister has a tremendous amount of patience, unless you're being stupid, which, in this case, Mark was. As far as she was concerned, fast forward a couple of months, the reports are still stacked on top of each other in Mark's inbox, and Brooke's getting real frustrated because these field guys are abusing the time and effort she's putting in while attempting to get them in for their required classes. So one day, Brooke's having lunch in the company cafeteria along with a gal from corporate accounting. They get to talking, and Angie mentions that she's noticed the travel department's expenses are really high, percentage-wise, compared to others, and asks if Brooke has any idea why. Well, that was all it took. My sister unloaded her frustration with all the cancellations with no repercussions, thus sending the travel department's budget off the charts. Not to mention the fact she wasn't getting any support from Mark towards reducing the numbers. Brooke tells Angie she's got an idea to put an end to the waste, but she wants to get approval from somebody higher up the food chain in order to implement her idea, because she doubts Mark's ability to comprehend, let alone implement. Angie tells Brooke that she thinks she knows exactly who Brooke needs to talk to. And within a couple of days, Brooke and Angie are sitting in a plush corner office talking to the vice president of operations, Victor, explaining the situation. It only took Victor a couple of minutes to make a decision after Brooke described what was going on, plus her idea on how to correct it, and he told Angie that Brooke's idea was brilliant, and that the policy change would become effective on the first of month 10 days later, which he followed up with a memorandum sent to all employees shortly after their meeting was over. Paydays were the 5th and the 20th. Those in the field who had expense accounts had to complete and turn them into accounting by the 5th to be processed and paid along with regular wages, bonuses, and commissions on the 20th. Brooks' policy change idea, with the victor's blessing, was to charge back against the offender's expense account the cost associated with getting him to his corporate meeting when he didn't show up. Airline fares, hotel rooms, rental cars, etc. Sis told me that the first month the policy went into effect, the howls of protest could be heard all over Silicon Valley, as several ended up with minuscule paychecks after the chargebacks. But the policy had exactly the results Brooke wanted within 3 months. Everyone showed up to their meetings on time as scheduled and virtually without any more no-shows.